Hi folks, how you all doing? Right, okay, the demolition begins. First thing I'm going to do is take away all the trees and bushes. So a deforestation exercise. I mean, these trees are either just shoved into the polystyrene or glued in with PVA. So they should come out easy enough, and all these wee ornamental fir trees are just stuck in. Just a simple case of pulling them all out, rip them all down. I've still got a load of tree roots that I got off that tree last year. I was always intending to make some new trees, but I think even last year I had ideas floating around in my head that I kind of thought back then of wanting to do something else, but I just couldn't make up my mind what. And at that point I was still thinking about the loft was the only place I could go, but I think the loft idea is pretty much, nah, I don't think we're going to do that. The money it would involve and the amount of work, it's just, nah, I don't think so. If I was a younger man, maybe, but quite a few people mentioned, you've got to think about as you get older, do you really want to be going up and down a ladder? Which I certainly don't if I can help it. So unless I could afford to get a proper staircase put in, I don't think it's ever going to happen. Get the big oak tree out, it's just plonked in, it's not even glued in. So of course all these trees will get reused in the new layout. Exactly how many trees I'll use in the new layout, I'm not too sure, but as many as I can fit in. I don't think you can really have too many trees, especially if your layout's kind of rural based. Right, that's all my trees out. Now, all the bushes. I'm going to need another box. All this stuff is actually glued on with Yoo-hoo, which is good stuff, but obviously it's going to leave little bits. That's still fine, we can still reuse that. These bridges were kind of kit bashed from Metcalf card kits, but because they're on curves, they had to be, well, this one is slightly curved. I managed to make a slightly curved one, and this one is, I just made it wider to allow the allowance for the coaches and stuff. But yeah, I think in the new layout I plan to have a kind of a viaduct in one section, or a viaduct type bridge, a bridge with arches. How big that's going to be, I'm not too sure. Which one I'm going to use, I know Metcalf do one. Maybe just scratch build something, who knows? We shall see. But I think time is going to be a big factor. If there's a quick way to do something, that's probably what I'll do. The quick way. Can always go back at a later date and do stuff a slightly different way if I need to. So when I was thinking about filming, the demolition work like this, I was kind of wondering, do I just want to film it, or am I going to have to try and talk rubbish over it all the time, which I suppose I'm kind of going to have to. So there might be some inane ramblings when I'm doing all this. But there may be silences, because sometimes you just got to crack on and get it done. You can maybe hear my squeaky floorboards. Floorboards were fine until the central heating got put in, and then of course they lifted all the floorboards and didn't really put them back very well. And one of my other rooms had the same problem, but I screwed down all the floorboards so they don't squeak anymore. But I didn't do that in this room. Bushes. So thanks for all the comments on the last video when I kind of announced the end of this layout. And nice to see that people were sad to see this go, but also excited for what's to come. Because I'm sad to see this go, but I'm very keen to get on and start building the new one. It's a lot of work. And I think building the baseboards and the modular aspect is going to be, a much bigger piece of work than when I built this, because this is just a big table essentially, and I just built on top of it nice and easy. But when I built this, I did intend for it to be in 4 sections so I could take it apart. And if I had done that, I could have broken this up and sold it. Because a lot of people have said, why don't you sell this? So that would have been an option, but I can't do it. It's all one thing, and it's probably actually quite heavy. Not too sure. Right, okay. I think that's all my bushes. All the ones that's worth saving anyway. I've got hedges and other little bits of greenery to pull out. And then once that's done, we'll take the fencing out, and then all the buildings. Pulling out all this stuff. We'll reuse as much as we can. This stuff isn't cheap, so I don't want to throw it all out. This is it. The last of the greenery I want to keep down here. Not too bothered about all these wee bits. Alrighty ho. Yeah, I think that's all the trees and bushes out. Let's take the fences out now. It's not that long since I put this in. It's just glued in with PVA, so given that that's just glued into polystyrene, it'll all pull out easy enough. Might need a bit cleaned up. When I come to reuse it, I used UU to glue the sections together. This fence here is old Hornby trackside fencing from the 1970s. And I've got these little walls as well, which I might try and reuse some of these, but I'll probably end up just buying new ones because they were set into the plaster. I thought it'd be a good idea to set them into the plaster, but I'm not sure that was a good idea, to be honest. Let's see if we can take this security fencing out without breaking it. That might need to be, yeah, that's pretty solid in. This is the fence you've seen all the workmen leaning up against. Come on out, come. This is all old Hornby trackside fencing as well. It's quite well stuck in actually. Right, okay, I think we need to get there's a squish of water. I'll just soften the glue. There we go. Like that, so kind of it. That should pull out easy enough. It is kind of sad, you know, you put a lot of work into building these. You know, this area here, you know, I built and then I completely stripped it and reworked it, put in the good shed, a new platform, put all this fencing in, and that was, you know, it wasn't long ago. Spent ages painting these white lines. You know, you invest a lot of time and then, yeah, this happens, you know. But, you know, it's just part of the hobby. Yeah, especially I think when you build your first layout, I think that's something I would maybe always advise people. If you're building your first layout, the chances are you're going to want to do something else once you've built it. And I was kind of always conscious of that when I built this, to be honest. But you know, I did wonder, yeah, just build a nice wee layout, maybe that'll do. And I think in the early days, you know, I was quite satisfied just to have a bit of a, you know, little tail chasing rural based layout. That was all I really wanted to do, because it's, I think as I said before in one of my other videos, that's kind of, this is the layout I wanted to have when I was, you know, 10 years old back in the 1970s. So building this kind of exercise, you know, it's kind of exercised a demon in my head sort of thing. But now I want to do something, you know, just a little bit grander and a little bit, not necessarily more technically challenging, but just, you know, I don't want just a couple of ovals of track, you know, I want something a bit more interesting. And it was just when I figured out how I could do it in this room and not, you know, have to go to the loft. That was kind of the moment I realised that this layout was done for. Right, that'll all clean up. So there we go, I think that's just about all my fencing out. I suppose we've got a level crossing as well. What's next? A cup of tea, that's what's next. I think what I'll do with these videos is make them fairly short and just have a number of them, rather than big long videos of me waffling a load of crap and doing stuff. So that's all the trees, bushes and fencing out. So I think that'll do for part 1. In part 2 we'll take the buildings out. And the interesting thing will be taking the track out. I'll need to disconnect all the wiring for that. So, you know, we'll take all the buildings away, we'll disconnect all the wiring, and then we'll start taking the track out. And once the track's out, it's really a case of just smashing the polystyrene and plaster up. That's going to be really messy. Yeah, be a few trips to the dump, I think. Right, okay, catch you later.